Hey everyone, welcome to the Preps on 11 Web Extra for Week 8. Tyler Cass, joined by Scorebook Live's Nate Olson. And Nate, a top-heavy week, but real heavy at the top. We got two huge games, big-time conference implications at this point.
Yep.
Let's start in the 5A, a battle of two schools that had moved up from 4A last year,
Right.
Robinson at Mills.
Yeah, Mills, Cortez Lee, really, and we said last week, I've known him a long time and watched him grow as a coach, and you remarked off air about how he gets along so well with the players. He's a players coach. He is young enough that I think he relates to a lot of those guys. He understands them, and he gets the most out of them. And so, you know, Mills, like you said, they move up to 5A, and they have quite a few guys playing both ways, like Jabray Shaw. I mean, he's emerged as one of the best defensive backs around, but we knew him last year more as a running back, and he's playing receiver, and he's returning kicks, and he has made a major impact. You know, Achilles Ringo, the quarterback, is a junior, and he's a bit better than he was. And
both staying healthy, too.
Yeah, I was just
going
to say, the big thing is health. You know, Shaw, we just talked about how good he was, and then he missed half the season. And that's when, you know, we were at the Lone Oak game last year, midway through in October. I was, you know, getting late like it is now, and he was hobbled, and then he didn't play, and then they lost that game, and it was a downward spiral. But they are very much in this hunt. I think, and when I say hunt, I mean state championship, and same thing with Robinson. And this is going to be probably for the conference championship, but I think whoever loses this game is still going to have a good chance to make a deep run in the playoffs. And Mills, to me, is the hotter team right now. I think that things are clicking and the momentum is on their side, and they're at home. And 2013 was a big year for them. I'm not sure what the biggest game would have been that year, but this is probably at least the biggest game since then, and maybe one of the biggest in school history when you talk about having a chance to win a championship. So, but I feel like they have a lot of their ducks in a row, that they're playing well. They've had some close games and they won them. Robinson, on the flip side, I don't think they've played as well. I mean, they've won, but Coach Escola has made some comments about, particularly after the Maumelle game, you know, we weren't crisp, we made mistakes. It was a closer game than a lot of people thought. Some of that was probably the Brian Maupin effect. Then came out last week, and BB gave them a run in the first half. Now they were able to roll in the second. I think the big thing there is Noah Freeman is a very, very good running back. He will not play most likely for the rest of the regular season. They hope to have him back for the playoffs. He's got a leg injury. Before he went down, they were playing really good. So I think Quentin Murphy, he's a sophomore. He's a Power 5 quarterback prospect. And I think this is the time where he has to play more like a junior. And he last week had a pretty balanced numbers with running and passing. I think he's got to throw it a little bit more probably this week, and watch out for Jabray Shaw. Don't throw it to him. But I think
hard not to do.
It is hard, very hard. I mean, he's one of the leaders in the nation in interceptions. So, I mean, many a quarterback is throwing it to him, and he's really good. So, I know that Todd Escola is a really good coach. To be able to go from 4A to 5A and have a chance to not only win a championship in the conference, but a state championship. That's the kind of, he's a top 11, top 10 team in RSB Live all classes poll. So they'll be ready to play. I think they will be really ready to play, and they're going to need to be. I think Mills being at home, there's something that tells me that they're going to pull this one out. But I think it's going to go down to the wire. I like them being at home, and I like the fact that, you know, Shaw has just been maybe one of the better players in the country. You know, he's really emerged. He's having one of the best high school seasons around. So it'll be a great game. It'll be a great atmosphere. And you like seeing that for Mills because Robinson's been accustomed to that in the Pulaski County School District. Mills not so much. So last year when we were there, it was a festive type atmosphere with us being there and everything and a lot of media. It'll be the same thing, but I think even ramped up a little bit more.
All right, and then talking about games that might decide conference titles, going up to the big boys at 7A, another one like Robinson Mills where you expected one team to be here, the other maybe not so much. It's Cabot and Bryant. We knew Bryant would be here. Cabot's definitely surprised.
Absolutely. You know, I think everybody thought last year was Cabot's season, and then it didn't pan out, and they did have a pretty good playoff run. You know, they were very close to beating Fayetteville and upsetting them. But in the big games in the regular season, they did not play very well. And Scott Reed is another guy that is, one of the better coaches around. I mean, he's won everywhere he's been, at an elite team at El Dorado, and then he's come to Cabot and brought a different philosophy than what Mike Malham had, but there's a winning tradition there and a winning attitude, and he is the same way that Coach Malham was, that he's a guy that expects to win, and he has the players' respect, but he goes about football a little differently with opening up the passing game. So there's a contrast of styles, but the personalities, I know Coach Malham still kind of hangs around and supports the team, and he Coach Reed are friends, so they're cut from the same cloth there, but just different football philosophies. But I really think that there was some talk in the offseason about, we need to be more focused. These big games that we're playing, we got to be more prepared for them, because and I don't know if that was said or what kind of switch was hit, but they come out in that Fayetteville game and they win that one in the last seconds. Abe Owen, we hadn't really heard of him, and he burst on the scene as a quarterback. They go to Bentonville West and destroyed them, and Bentonville West was a team that I kind of had thought was going to be that it team like Fayetteville that kind of made that leap to the upper part of the 7A West, and then Cabot really dominated that game. So you've got to take them seriously. They're the number 2 ranked team. They're right now a state championship contender. They're a 7A Central contender, playing really, really good football on both sides. The front seven on their defense, we made a lot of commotion about them last year, but I think they're even better this year. They had like 3 guys that were Division II linemen, but I think they're even better. And you need to flip the coin to Bryant. We were talking a little bit about this off air. 47 straight games, I think it is, against in-state opponents they've won, but I don't think it's been kind of in a convincing fashion for 4 quarters. They played the Salt Bowl. We were there for that. I saw that game, dominant for a while, then kind of took the foot off the gas in the second half. Didn't need to do too much. And then, only led Jonesboro 14-7. So I think they're looking to play 4 quarters, and I think it's going to happen Friday night. I think that this will be the game that you will see the dominant Bryant, the Bryant that in all facets is ready to roll. I think they've kind of sleepwalked a little bit. The schedule hasn't been extremely tough. The first 5 games, the game down in Louisiana was going to be against, a team from Texas, and I think they were really amped up for it, and then it didn't happen. And then after that, it's been kind of a letdown. So
they haven't had to play a full 4 quarter
Yeah, they
game
haven't
yet.
had to
They'll
play.
have to on Friday.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't been challenged, but Buck James and his staff, Kirk Bach, the offensive coordinator, they're extremely detailed. They're going to do some things, probably particularly defensively, that will wrinkle. They've done a good job over the years. In the championship game, like last year against Fayetteville, they changed their whole defense the week of the and it bothered Fike a little bit, and then down the stretch they were able to win that game. But they'll have something special for Cabot, and I think they will also be right up here with intensity. It's homecoming. And so there's going to be a lot of emotion. I think that's what you're looking for from them, playing with a lot of emotion and a lot of intensity. If they do that, particularly on defense, I don't think there's anybody that can beat them. If they do that, I mean they're very good defensively, and offensively they've got a great running game. And I think that their offensive line, needs to really play like it's the 8th week of the season. They've been new guys, but they need to mature and really own that line of scrimmage. And because if they do that, they've got 3 backs that can run for days, and then they don't have to, pass the ball as much. So I think that if they do that, they'll be in good shape. But Cabot's going to be ready for this too, and I think Cabot, feels still like they have something to prove, even after beating Conway. I think that they feel like they have something to prove that they are a championship contender. They would love to be number 1 on our ranking. I mean, everybody all year has been knocking on the door saying we should be number 1. Cabot wants to be number 1. Conway wanted to be number 1. PA and Greenwood are not saying, hey, we should be ranked higher. So that number 1 spot's very coveted among the players, especially.
All right, 7A Central Championship potentially on the line. 5A Central Championship potentially on the line. We'll, of course, have the highlights from those, plus a veritable cornucopia of others coming your way on the Friday Night Blitz.